Today I'm taking a look at the VEVOR drum set. So we got our instructions and we have got our heads. So here is our snare. So this is not a coated surface, this is just a regular old head. So it is screwed on one side. And now on the other side we got our adjustments. So if you want to change the way these sound, we can do that. So this is a 6-lug pattern on the snare. Here we got our cymbals for the hi-hat. Got our big cymbal for crashing. We got our bass pedal. So all we gotta do is grab these 2 bars, squeeze them down, and fit them into these holes. There we go. You got a couple of stands. Loosen that guy up. We just want to get it to where we can feel it and give it about a quarter turn. We got some feet and they got spikes in it, so if we want to play outside we can do that. It actually comes with some drumsticks, got a couple legs, and we have got a stand for our cymbal. So the straight bar is going to go into the stand, and then the bar that has the felt tips on the end, that is going to go into that. And you can kind of see, even with this loose, this kind of locks in place. That has teeth in there. You're not going to worry about it slowly falling down. You're going to undo this thumb nut, take off the top felt, and we'll put our cymbal on top of that. And put the felt back on and the nut. So this is the stand for our hi-hat. So we got this zip tied together, and this is going to attach the same way. We just squeeze these and stick them in those holes. Then we can loosen this up, pull the legs out, and lock that down. So this is the complicated part. So you can see we got this rod in here, and then we got the hi-hat clutch on the top. So we're going to undo that, take that off. The bottom of this rod is threaded, and that is going to thread into the female end of the rod on the other side on the stand. And we can slip this pull down, make that as high as we want. Then we'll put the bottom cymbal on, and I'm going to undo the clutch, put the top cymbal on there, put the felt back on, and thread the nut back on. Then we can drop the clutch back on. Now when I press on the pedal, you can see it moves that rod up and down. So I'm going to press the pedal down a little bit, lock the clutch. Then when I let go of the pedal, it lifts the hi-hat. Okay, we are getting down to it. So here we've got another stand. I believe this is for the throne. So this is our small tom. We got our rings for it, and that does look like it is in pretty good condition. So we got a 45 angle here on the top, and the same thing on the bottom. Just so you can see kind of how this is packed. So the big tom was inside of that. Now we got our floor tom, and we got our medium tom right in the middle. Last up is our bass. And at the bottom we got a bag of hardware. So let's start with the bass. These feet do have rubber stops, so you can just take this nut, spin it up, and you don't have to have that spike on the ground. So if you don't want a spike, you don't need one. You can see that does slide into the body, so you can make this as tall as you want it. It's good because the back end should be up just a little bit. So I'll make it right about there just to start with. And the reason you want this up a little bit is just so it has better resonance. So the back is going to use the black side, and we want that to be as lined up, straight up and down as we can possibly get it. Just a pet peeve, it's not really something you need to do or adhere to. And then we can start clamping our hoop on. Now I try to get at least a few of these in place while I'm looking at it, that way I can make sure that this doesn't move around at all. And that looks pretty good. Now that I'm happy with the positioning, we can get all the rest of the bolts in. Because these have a little bit of wiggle in them, I just want to make sure that they are straight up and down. All the threads feel good. There isn't any problem with burrs or any kind of like cross-threading, anything like that. Okay, so now they're all reasonably attached. I'm going to start going around it, and I'm going to tighten them up in kind of a star pattern just until I can start to feel friction. So that's the resonance side. Now we are going to do the beater side. And this side doesn't have a logo, so that is not as important. Hey! Now that's the sound. Go ahead and take the wrap off of this felt. And we got a couple of locks right here. So I'm just going to use the same drum key. Loosen that up. Slide this guy in. And lock it down. And you don't need to go crazy tight, again, just so you can feel it, and then maybe another quarter turn. Then on the bottom here, there's a little clamp, so if we tighten this up, that is going to press on the back, and that is going to make this beak close. I just want to get that centered, and we can lock that down. Then at the top, we're going to put these rods, but this has something that's a little unique. It has these collars, and they have a little tab on them. On the top, there's a little slot. That tab can fit right in there. So you can first lock this guy down wherever you want it, and then you can also lock down this collar. So that way, if you find a position where you like this, you can use that collar to make sure that that doesn't spin. It's always going to be lined up exactly how you like it. have to say it has a very nice feel to it as well. Another thing that's going to do is it's going to provide another point where this is going to be held up. So you don't have to worry about this thing loosening up as you're beating away and this rod falling into the drum. So next I'm going to put together the smallest tom. We got a 10 inch, a 12 inch, and a 17 inch. So these are the heads. So this one sounds like a slightly lower tone. So this one is going to be my beater head, and this one is going to be my resonant head, which makes sense because this one's going to have the logo on it anyway. If this one had a higher tone, then I would have put that on the bottom to get lined up, because this is going to slide into this pole. So we're going to have the toms. They're going to be kind of just like this. We want to have them close together, but not so close that they're going to be touching. So I think like this is going to look good. This is going to attach in a very similar way, except the bolts are going to go right through the ring instead of having a clamp. So the ring itself is the clamp. Also has our throne seat. So the snare's pretty easy because it's already put together. We're just going to take this rod, put it into the stand, loosen that up. We can flip it upside down and then tighten it back up. We open these guys. This little handle on the bottom is going to open those up, so you can see when I turn it counterclockwise, it's just kind of folding them down. Then we can put our snare on top of it, and we're just going to tighten that up so that it holds the snare in place. We don't want it to be crushing the snare, we just want it to be holding it. And we can adjust that up or down to meet whatever our needs are. The last one is our floor tom. And you can see where the feet are going to go in. That is going to be the bottom. So this is the bottom. Yeah. So far, everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. Every drum head does have a logo on it, and the one with the logo does have the lower tone. We have two pieces left over, one short and one long, so in the event that we lose one of these, we're still going to be good to go. So the drum itself will hold the legs. You can also see that it's got this knurling on here. That's going to help to make sure that these legs stay in place. It's also going to help to show us exactly how tall these legs are. So right now I'm putting it about halfway in the top knurling. And you can also see I can spin these around, so if my foot was in the way, something like that, I can still move these legs. So the drums are together. Now let's do the throne. And we can see this is adjustable. There's a bunch of holes in there, and that is just held together with a bolt with a wing nut. So I'm a tall boy, so I'm going to use the bottom slot and see how that feels. And you can see this ring right here, that is going to go to the top. So that is going to be for the seat so that this nut has something to bite into. Got a washer and a wing nut. And this does not really have to be tight, just tight enough to where it's not going to fall off. So that is the throne. So there it is all together. I moved things around a little bit, mostly just brought things down and brought those toms down a little bit, brought the cymbals and the hi-hat down a little bit, just trying to get everything that's a little bit closer. Now, this is going to be one of those things where it's going to be completely up to you. What's great about this set is it's not incredibly overwhelming. It has enough variety in it that you can really mess around. You can have a lot of fun. You can get a lot of different tones. And then if you decide you want more, you can always expand it. The cymbal sounds great. The hi-hat. Of course, we got the pedal on there to stop it. I think it has quite a bit of resonance in it. They do have a hack where you can cut a hole into the back, into the resonance head, and then you can throw a sweater or something like that in there to kind of muffle it a little bit. I'm thinking that's what I'm going to be doing with this, just to make it sound a little bit more premium. They also make muffling tape that you can put on top of the drum heads, but all of this is going to be choices that you can make. Of course, the snare. There's a lot of different ways to tune that. You can tighten it down, you can loosen it up. We can tighten down the chain on the bottom. Give you a slightly different sound. Of course, if we want to, we can loosen that all the way up so it's not even going to touch. It'll sound closer to a tom. So yeah, great starter kit, nice and easy to put together. It really came with everything that you would need in order to get started. And the fact of the matter is, this doesn't actually take up that much space. We could easily throw this into the corner of the room, and we could just have fun with it when we want to. So yeah, that is an awesome drum set.